Hi, love. Hello, and welcome to Co-Creative Healing Journey. My name is Greta. I'm a healer, and this is Spiritual Guidance, which is a video in which I bring through messages from Spirit that are intended to give us insight, perspective, wisdom to help us build a new paradigm. To help us build a new paradigm as we are moving through the global awakening process. So this is for those of us who are consciously moving through that process, which I'm starting to call Team Light, Team Love. Those of us who want to serve the light and the love in these days, in these challenging days, and in the times ahead. And I was just laughing because I've been trying to start this video quite a few times and I keep getting tongue-tied. I keep kind of struggling to get through the intro. And so this time I realized, I just move through it because this is the theme. It's the energy of the reading, which is when the story ends, when a story ends, when a new narrative begins. And actually, when I started to shuffle, this was the bottom of the deck. And this could have been the very first time or this time around. But there's this sense of shuffling and then arriving back where we started. And that's a lot about, it's something that shows up a lot in stories when you have this narrative and you go on a big hero's journey and really you end up where you started, just at a higher level in a different way. And I feel like that's all going to come into the messages the Spirit has for us. So let's look at the energy. We've got Jewel Within a Teardrop, appreciation, spiritual and emotional reconnection. And we are talking about a story ending and a new one beginning. And so the story in this instance is the narrative. It's the story that we tell ourselves about who we are. It's the story that we tell ourselves about how our family is, about what kind of childhood we had, about where we grew up, about the job we have, about the relationship we have, so on and so forth. So this is talking about a story that you have in your life that is a foundational aspect of you, of your personality, of your self-perception, self-awareness, how you go about life also, that you really base yourself on. Your sense of self, and then how you go about life. You base yourself on that story. And within that story, there is a process here where you are learning to heal from the darker aspects of it. That's the spiritual and emotional reconnection, finding deeper spirituality, deeper love within that story in a way where you can heal, release it, and then let a new story emerge. So let's get more information. Ooh, that one wanted to come out. And is this it, Spirit? Yes, okay. There's an aspect of the story. We have the Queen of Swords and Nine of Cups, just saying. We'll weave that in somehow. But there's an aspect with this one coming out. There's an aspect of the story that you know and that you're not immediately happy with. With the Hanged Man here, we have a big part of the message coming in. And that is that at some level, the story that you're telling yourself is keeping you stuck. This is Major Arcana energy. This is soul growth, soul evolution. And there is an aspect where that story is keeping you in an uncomfortable position that is keeping you from getting to the death energy of change, of transformation, of evolution into what comes next. With the Seven of Cups in this deck, we have debauch. And this debauch is stagnant energy, emotional energy. Although we have Venus in Scorpio, so Venus is not emotional energy, it's heart-centered energy, so it's value, but it is showing up in the cups. So which one is it, Spirit? It's kind of judgments. When you put emotional energy and the heart together, you get judgment space, not judgmental, but this very subjective space that is talking about an interpretation that you have created about yourself and about your life based on this story that is keeping your emotional energy stuck. Something that should be flowing and flowing abundantly. Something that should be like the Seven of Cups energy of figuring out who you want to be, where you want to go, what you want to get out of life. There's no flow there. You're not even imagining all of the wonderful things that you could have because you're stuck in this story, and it is keeping you from growing and evolving in significant ways. And now there's an energy that is coming in at your life, at this time in your life, that is coming to bear, that is going to create spiritual healing healing through love, where you can really transcend this story and move on. So we're going to draw some cards now. One already popped out. I'd like to get 2 more to really flesh out what the story is. And of course, it's a general reading, so it's going to apply differently for everybody, but we're going to get a general sense. So we have got Charles and Ray Eames. And this one says, design your days, don't plan them. Aspire to profound practicality. Be unbending in your flexibility. We have got Albrecht Dürer, and it says, one man's outbreak is another man's breakthrough. Know your perspective. Apocalypse then. Know your perspective. Apocalypse then. Love it. It's really lining up so beautifully with what I've been talking about. Of course, Gilbert and George. It's kind of the point. And it says, be the art you wish to see in the world. Your work should not be selfish. Dress the part. Love it. So, my love, Charles and Ray Eames, from what I can remember, their artistry was very much about everyday things like furniture, pieces of furniture, but making them beautiful, making them artistic. So this is very much talking about the humdrum of your life, or feeling like life has become humdrum. There's something in your life that should be beautiful, that should be very profound, and then is not. And so here we are talking about everyday life, everyday routine, a loss of joy, some form of kind of siphoning out of happiness and joy in your life. So this is talking about how your life can actually be a lot happier, a lot more flourishing, a lot more profound, a lot deeper, a lot more spiritual, essentially, a lot more full of appreciation, all of the things that you really love and that you really value. And yet it's not. And then we have one man's outbreak is another man's disease, and is another man's breakthrough. Sorry, one man's outbreak is another man's breakthrough, but that's the disease. It's this notion that if you were to bring more of this love into your life, if you were to lead a life that is much more in alignment with what you love and what you value and what you want to have in your life, you would actually be almost contagious to other people, or to the people around you. And again, to the people and the story that you have based your foundation on. So this could be something, for example, like women don't pursue this kind of career, or women don't not have children. Women have to have children, or this kind of doctor is the only kind of doctor you can be, right? Being a surgeon has no value. You have to be a pediatrician. It's like that. It's more or less specific. That's what I'm trying to say. But there's a narrative, a story that you're telling yourself about how if you go for something that you love, you are going to be ostracized, you're going to be judged. And fundamentally, with Know Your Perspective, Spirit is saying you would be the one judging yourself. Okay, so we're back to the judgments, and that's the energy being stuck. The thing of it is that we internalize judgments, we internalize culture, we internalize norms. And it's very important that we realize at some point, right, that the person who's holding us stuck is ourselves. What's really holding us stuck is our own judgments, it's our own perspectives. And instead, there's a calling from within you. Be the art you wish to see in the world. I was talking about Team Light. There's a way to serve that is centered in you being you. And what I'm getting with this is that you have this calling from within for a higher purpose in your life, for a higher way of living, and even a very different way of living. And Gilbert and George, again, as artists, what I remember is that they're very, look at how they're dressed. And they were these middle-aged men around the time this happened. So they were just dressing in a very atypical kind of way, very colorful, and very, again, what you wouldn't expect a middle-aged British man at that time to be wearing. I believe they were British, but it's a part of it that they were people would think twice just seeing them. They were changing the stereotype. They were transforming things just in how they were showing up, and honestly just in being themselves. And that's the reconnection, spiritual and emotional reconnection the Spirit is talking about, that is going to be so healing. It is you dropping this narrative and reconnecting with yourself, with who you actually truly want to be, and how you actually truly want to lead your life, which is perfectly sound. It's perfectly okay. It's your life, right? And in not doing that, you're also holding yourself back, because the sub message of all this would be that you're intended to be you, right? You're intended to lead that life. So let's look at the cards we have. We've got 3 of Pentacles upside down. We have got the Death card. There it is, upside down. Exactly. The transformation is not coming in. We've got the Lovers upside down, and we've got the 10 of Pentacles upside down. It's funny, I've just started to read reversals again on the channel, and they're all upside down. So this is talking about energy that is very much internalized where it should be externalized. So I don't really read reversals as blocks, because you are the one creating your own reality. So what would be a block, right? You choose it. It's just choosing A versus B, but then telling ourselves I should be choosing B, and then defining it as a block. And it's the same kind of energy here. You're choosing to show up as a version of yourself that's just less authentic. It's not right. It's not wrong. But with the 3 of Pentacles here, you're not working with everything that you have and everything that you could be. Do you see how this person is looking at a statue? I don't see it. There you go. No? Okay, it might be hard to see in your life, right? So that would be part of the message. There you go. This person is looking at a statue, at work that they have done. It's a place that they've gone. It's time that they've put into something that they've created with their effort. And the 3 of Pentacles is about working with things, right? And for me, it's also a card of opportunities. And there are opportunities, actual opportunities, realized opportunities, manifest opportunities in your life right now that you are not pursuing, that you are not fully taking up. And because you aren't, there isn't the death, there isn't the transformation of something that really needs to go. And what it is with the Death card is that it's fundamentally what we typically call ego death, which is more the notion that the ego stops having primacy. We still have an ego, and it's a healthy thing to do, right? To have a healthy ego. But it's about the ego not running the ship. It's the death of that. It's the death of the part of you that is limited, telling you who you are, where to go, how to be, and how to lead your life. It's time for that, what I'm hearing is dictatorship of the ego to end. And instead, with the Lovers upside down, there's the potential for you to make a different kind of choice. There's the potential for you to make a heart-centered choice. And with the Lovers, there's the energy of the multidimensional choice, all in, from the top of your head to the tip of your toes, everything that you are, choosing this and loving this. And again, with the Angel, you are divinely intended to. You're divinely intended to pursue this calling. You are divinely intended to show up in the world more as you love. You're divinely intended to choose what it is that you love. And with the 10 of Pentacles, there's a tremendous potential for wealth. And again, with this little child here opening the chest, Spirit is saying you don't even know how much. It's just the beginning, right? If you look at all of those pentacles, they're at the top. There's way more beneath. There's way more in the chest. So there's the potential for an incredible amount of wealth, but not just amount of wealth. The 10 of Pentacles upside down for me is also authentic wealth, authentic success. Sometimes we can have all the money in the world, we can have all the resources in the world, and it's still not fulfilling. So there's the message here that what you do have from not pursuing what really fulfills you, what you do have from not fully showing up as yourself, it has value, but it's not the greatest value, and it's not of the greatest value to you. And so fundamentally, it will never be fully fulfilling. Yeah. I want to get a little more specific because I feel like it's kind of in the air. And I know Spirit places it exactly where it needs to be, right? But there's also this message that there's some resistance to it. Yeah, Ten of Swords. Okay. All right. I can see why. Spirit took the long way around. We've got the major arcana number 1, the Magician. We have the 2 of Pentacles, and we have got the 4 of Cups. Okay, so listen here. We have got Ten of Swords, and Ten of Swords is talking about a situation in your life that has been incredibly, incredibly difficult. That's where Spirit is kind of leading you. We took the long way around so that you could get a kind of background before we came into this energy, because this energy is not easy at all. And all of these cards are right side up, so that also speaks to it. We have got this energy of the Ten of Swords, and this is someone being taken off the battlefield, and Spirit wants you to realize and understand that there's a lot of hardship, a lot of accidents, also things not working out, things not going the right way, things are not going the way that you would want them to, that you've been experiencing a lot of things that could feel like disasters, even tragedies that have been happening in your life, and all things that are outside of your control. With the Ten of Pentacles, the Ten of Swords, sorry, it's things that happen in the world, in our life, and you've been in the cycle of, bad things, essentially things that you experience as bad happening over and over and over again. But that is ending. But that cycle is ending no matter what. And that's the message too. That cycle is ending. And that's why there's going to be appreciation. There's going to be revaluation of you. There's going to be spiritual and emotional reconnection. With the Magician here, you are going to be able to start and manifest something completely different. A completely different cycle of life. And with all of these elements being up in the air, this is Spirit telling you that the process is underway. It is beginning. You are already in the process of manifesting a higher reality, and a reality where you are coming out of all of these troublesome and difficult and really, again, disastrous times. With the Two of Pentacles, however, there is the need for you to understand that you consciously have to exchange one level of reality for another. It's not going to happen on its own. So while you're not going to manifest exactly the same thing, because the energy has changed and shifted, you might manifest more of what you don't want if you don't realize, if you don't it feels like acceptance and taking ownership of the truth that you so far have been manifesting something that is not in alignment with you. It's because you've been settling from a place of trying to please, trying to appease, trying to fit in, trying to pacify, trying to keep things together, trying to put off a certain change, a certain choice, a certain calling. You've been giving in some kind of way, compromising what is very, very important, the truth of your being. And because you've been doing that, then whatever you were experiencing couldn't work. It couldn't sustain itself. It couldn't create a real foundation, right? The story is that this situation, this relationship, this narrative that you're basing yourself on, the story is that it has the power to give you foundation, to give you stability, to give you success. And Spirit is telling you that's a story. And if you don't break down that story, break down that narrative, as you're shifting into another cycle, you will inevitably end up with more of what you don't want. It's not going to go to the level of disasters because the energy shifted. Great. Awesome. You're done with that. You're never going to live that again. But it could go to the level of Four of Cups, of just being fundamentally dissatisfied with what you do get, with what you do create. And the message is that it doesn't need to be that. There has to be here with the Two of Pentacles, an exchange. There has to be some growth and some evolution where you take your own perspective to the next level, where you allow yourself to shift and evolve into what needs to be, and again, who you need to be. Because the story isn't bad in and of itself. We all have a story. Again, that's how we explain reality to ourselves. That's how we interpret life. And we have to do that. It's part of being healthy psychologically. It's perfectly all right. However, We just have to make sure that the stories that we tell ourselves are authentic and that they serve us and that they serve our highest good. And, I'm being reminded of a teaching Spirit gave me, which is that yesterday's wisdom is today's foolishness. So what was wise to do or to believe, to how to explain things, how to interpret life yesterday, that was wise. Today it might be incredibly foolish. And it's this kind of energy. This narrative is not serving you in this cycle and where you're headed. And I don't even know if it ever served you. For some of you it did. For some of you there was protection in following through on that narrative and living that out. There was protection. But this is a whole new era. This is a whole new time. And you have to let that story go in order to really flourish in what is going to be coming up. So, yeah, you saw it get chosen, so we have some advice for you, and believe you me, it is truth be told. With a window, an owl, symbol of wisdom, holding a window standing atop of a mask. It doesn't get clearer than that. And the second one is not for you, upside down. Wow. Okay. And I'm, to be honest with you, I'm kind of bothered by how little I can place this reading, but I'm going to trust, first of all, in what comes through, which we established actually kind of early on when I was doing the reading. The Spirit is going to tell you what you need to hear, but it's very much about you just hearing these words and placing them in your reality and you making sense of it. Because ultimately, this card is talking about the advice the Spirit says is giving you is that it's time for you to tell yourself the truth. And telling ourselves the truth is to tell ourselves what is and only what is. And that's the starting point. You just have to tell yourself the truth and you have to be able to be in the truth of what is. So for example, for some of you, the truth is that things are worse than you think. Worse than you're allowing yourself to know. There's some energy of denial. Things are worse than you perceive. And for some of you, it's that things are better than you perceive, right? And that can be as challenging. And especially with the cycle, I would feel like for most of you, it would be that things are getting better. You're manifesting something new. And so you really need to let go of the truths of what you knew. It's, for example, if you have lived for X amount of years with $100 every month, then you know to buy this and to buy that, and you know how to make that work. And that could be a very wise use of $100 a month. But if you have $1,000 a month and you're still applying the same kinds of rules and making the same kinds of purchases, then that can be foolish, given that you have a lot more money and you have a lot more resources and you have a lot more to make yourself happy. It's that kind of thing. You have to be very honest with yourself about where you've been, what you've done, why you've done it, why you chose it, and be very honest with yourself about where you are now. It's not so much where you're headed, it's about where you are now and what you can see that is already changing, that is already transforming, and that is already requiring of you to make new choices and to make those choices from a different space. So it's not to make choices based on what is necessary going on around you. Back to the furniture, right? Not to just buy furniture because it's the cheapest, but also to buy furniture because you love it and it's beautiful and it's going to be in your home for the next 20 years or so, because you're done moving from place to place to place to place like you have been for X amount of years. It would be like that. There's a change, a shift in your circumstances that require for you to tell yourself the truth about those shifts so that you can then make the decisions that you need to make here on out and going forward. And then finally, we have this energy and this advice of not for you. My love, do you see here? There's a chessboard here. There's a chessboard. And the chessboard is talking about a greater dynamic that is at play. There are moves being made now, right? And I was talking about here and now and not so much the future. And so Spirit is saying in that instance that you need to stop strategizing. And you need to stop trying to decide what to do here and now, how to go about things here and now, how to choose, again, to choose yourself, choose what's more conventional, to go into all those spaces. to not do that based on where you want to be later or based on a bigger, broader picture, right? Well, I'm a doctor and I'm always going to be a doctor. If I start including energy healing, then I'm not going to have the reputation that I need. I'm not going to get my PhD. I'm not going to get this. I'm not going to get that. And it just muddles things up and it makes it more complicated for you to gain the clarity that you do need here and now and that you can have here and now. So finally, we have a takeaway. Follow your passion. Do something that matters to you. Your passion is your strength. How wonderful is that? And how very fair is that? I love it. I ended up clearing out all the cards because this is the only thing that really needs to be here. It's the takeaway. And it is about you really reconnecting with yourself by following your passion, by doing something that matters to you. Again, within the context of everything we've been talking about. It's a simple decision to do what you love, to follow it, because again, it is going to be your strength. It is going to be your power. It is going to help you move through anything and everything and to move out of these difficult times and into what comes next. Absolutely. But also at the core of it, it's that Lovers Upside Down. It's an inherent choice. It's an existential choice. You follow your passion. You do what you love because that's who you are. And that's how life is intended to be lived. You being you, you loving you, you doing you because you love you, you loving you by doing you, and so on and so forth. So love, that was the reading. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that it served you. I would love to hear how this resonated for you, where this is showing up for you. I'm sending you lots of love, wishing you all the best. And if you do need a more in-depth reading, if you have some questions that you would like to ask, actually I've started to do intuitive readings that are simply you asking between 3 and 6 questions from spirit and getting answers within a 30-minute audio reading. If you would like to know more, there is more information in the description box. I also have created energy work that helps you to heal and to really transform your life in powerful and enduring ways. And with all of this energy going on that could also speak to you, I also have something about authenticity. So also in the description box or on my website at www.cocreativehealingjourney.com. Lots of love, wishing you all the best, and I'll be seeing you around. Bye, love.